So I'm going to be honest with you. Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 were one of the first games I have ever played when I was a kid. And it was one of the first games I ever watched when I was a kid. I have fond memories of this series and have enjoyed the series for a while. Even when it wasn't at its best, I still enjoyed the games. Now, I know how to separate nostalgia from what are the facts in the game that is before me. And I promise I will do that in this review. But man, this game really brings back the classic into the modern age almost perfectly. So close to being perfect. I had an absolute blast playing this game, and I know you will as well. Welcome to my review of Resident Evil 2. For all my reviews, they will be spoiler free, and not to worry if you want to talk spoilers, I'll have an additional video to this one called Spoiler Talk, which will be out later this week. So look forward to that one. That one will talk about anything and everything when it becomes of Resident Evil 2. So I ask if you leave comments below, please do leave them spoiler free. Now, this game was able to bring back the horror of zombies. And when we talk about games like the Souls series and Bloodborne, where any enemy had the opportunity to kill you and you had to stay on top of your toes because of that, it seemed like it has evolved from Resident Evil. Like a zombie in the original Resident Evil could kill you at any moment. Any enemy you faced had an opportunity to kill you. And they had done this so well in making this in this remake. They had made me fear zombies once again. They've captured real zombies. Like from basically the zombie's going to do what it takes to get to you. And it could be from breaking through windows. It could be from bursting through a door. It can be from crawling over a table. Like even that something as simple as crawling over a table, which was amazing to see, it's going to do whatever it takes to get to you. Now, you can leave it with one limb left. You can leave it with a couple limbs left. And still, it will do what it takes to get to you. It is an unrelenting force. And the only thing that makes you feel reassurance that the thing is gone and out of your way is when its head is fully gone. Even when you think you've killed it, when its head is still there, don't be surprised if that thing comes bursting through the door, or when you open the door, it's almost right at your face. It has really captured the true complexity of horror and made you nervous about even something as simple as a zombie. Now, the even more amazing part about these zombies, and just about the creatures at all in general, and the enemies in general, is the precision. The precision and the well-craftedness of how these things were created and how they interact with the weapons that you are attacking it with. You have to be extremely precise when you are taking out any of these enemies, including the zombies, especially the zombies. An example is, you got to get the zombie in the head to really do its maximum damage. But when you hit it in the jaw, that's not a headshot. That's a jaw shot. So the jaw might drop a little bit, but that doesn't count as a headshot. You need to actually aim for the upper skull to be able to get that headshot, to be able to put that maximum damage on that zombie. Now, you can do things like chewing off the jaw. You could shoot something like their arms, where their limb then would fall off. You can go to where they have zero limbs at all whatsoever. But every encounter, because of this, is truly exhilarating and really scary at the same time, because it's a survival horror game. So you only have so much ammo to spare. And there are more than just zombies, like I mentioned earlier. They include some creatures from the original, but yet some of them they put a spin on, and some of them are entirely new creatures that we've never seen before. And it is a good mix of different kind of opponents, each having their own type of strategy in regards to how you need to attack them to be able to survive. You can do things where you can you can only just stall them for a short amount of time, or you can take the extra limit to go and eliminate the threat itself. But it is such a great way of how it integrates both old and new. Now, this tension that it creates with not just the zombies is helped by how beautiful and how amazingly sounding this game is. You know, every detail in this game in regards to how the zombies look, from the flesh coming off their bodies to where you're hit when the flesh comes off the arm, or when you hit their jaw and the jaw drops. You know, it is so good. I've never seen such great gore animation probably since God of War 3, when that was something they really focused on. You know, you had parts where you were actually taking intestines out of centaurs. I remember that vividly. That is one of the things I remember the most out of that game. And this is like another step up to that. It's really great to see. And, you know, it's complemented greatly by its great uses of lighting. You know, it's a beautiful game in general, and the lighting just puts it over the top of creating the tension. And that sometimes your only source to see is a flashlight. And that can create such tension, especially with the audio combining with that of hearing what is around the corner, or what is in front of you, or what is behind you. It helps create such tension because you know that any of these enemies is just as powerful, and that you have to try to do what it takes to get past them, and you only have so much ammo to spare. It just helps with creating such beautiful moments. And there's very few music in this game, but when they do use music, it is used such in a great placement to where you really feel the tension that is trying to make you feel. And we'll talk about an example later on in this review. Overall, the atmosphere got me scared constantly. You know, something about in the past with the old Resident Evil games still make me jump occasionally to the day because of the fixed camera angles. But what they've done with the atmosphere, and to be frank, I played this in the dark, sometimes with just headphones in, because I wanted to feel the full atmosphere of what the horror has before me. And, you know, this got me to jump many times of zombies appearing when they weren't supposed to, or when I thought I got away and it got me. You know, there's just so many great moments, and it's just complemented so greatly by the atmosphere that is around it. Now, with all this, going through the places that I have walked before in Resident Evil 2 was quite amazing. I think they did a really amazing job in multiple ways from where they've taken places and they literally have copied them from the original. They have taken and created brand new places that we've never seen before. Or what they have done in certain areas is add a place to a new area that wasn't there before, but it is an inspiration of a certain room or hallway that you've seen in the original. So an example, and when I mean inspired by, it could mean that there are the same type of artifacts or same type of furniture in that space. An example is where the police conference room is not in the same place as it is in the original game, and the layout of it is a little bit different, but you can tell that, oh yeah, this is that room. This is an inspiration of that room with some adjustments, and some of them are created verbatim of the exact same room. It looks exactly the same as it did in the original, just, you know, obviously recreated all the graphics and everything like that, but it is a true recreation of that exact room. And that is just so great. I mean, that is how you do a great remake in regards to, you know, honoring the original, yet growing from what was there before and just using inspiration from elements from the original game. And, you know, when I was walking through the station, it was like I was walking through it. It was like a familiar space, yet not too familiar where I felt like I knew where everything is. I knew where I was going to be going. It was like I was walking through it for the first time, and maybe with some deja vu. I liked that so much. So it was and also structurally, I think structurally how the rooms connected, I think was a great job. They did a great job in things made sense on how things connected between different. I don't want to give too much away, so I'm trying to be a little vague here, and it's purposeful. Of just how areas connected or how rooms connected, it made a lot more sense. When I looked back in the original Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2, some of the rooms that were connected or how to get to that room really didn't make sense, including how to get to like the chief's office. You had to take a ladder up if you wanted to do it the fastest way, or you can go like down the stairs, then up the stairs, then around, or you can go all the way around and go upstairs and around. It was just a really weird way to get to the office, and the way they restructured it really made it seem like, any police officer could go to the chief's office, any other person could go to the chief's office, like to do an interview if they needed to do so. It just made a lot more sense structurally, and I think I appreciate that they did that. It made it seem like this was more real than it was in the past game. Now, to cover the short setup of the plot, if you've never played the game before, it takes place in the events after the original Resident Evil. You play as either Leon S. Kennedy or you play as Claire Redfield. Now, Leon is a police department officer from the Raccoon Police Department. He's supposed to start his first day. In this remake, he's told not to come into work, but he decides to anyways, and he gets stuck in this incident with Claire Redfield. Now, Claire is a college student looking for her brother, Chris Redfield, who works for the Raccoon City Police Department and is from the first game. So there's a relation in there. And somehow they both, Claire and Leon meet up and go into Raccoon City, and they get split up, and they're both trying to escape Raccoon City. And they do that by going through the police station, and that's where they kind of meet up and then go from there, and that's where they try to escape. Now, there are other characters they meet up with. Each has their own kind of storyline that they meet different characters, have a different way of they approach different rooms and things like that. But that's the only thing I'll cover. Both kind of, like I said, have their own plot, and makes you want to play both of their playthroughs, and we'll talk more about that soon. But due to where some people don't really know, or probably the bigger fans know this, is that due to there was a voice acting strike I want to say 2016. I could be wrong on the date, but it was a couple years back. There was a voice acting strike where the voice actors were not going to do any work for games. They wanted more compensation and better deals in regards to how they treated their voices and things like that. I mean, that's a whole video on its own. But because of that, they had to recast the leads. They couldn't bring in the original voice actors because they were part of the association and the union. So they brought in new cast members to play the original voice actors and redo all the entire scenes and do the mocap and everything like that. So the entire cast is brand new. And, I think they did a good job stepping in their shoes. They fleshed out some of the characters a little bit better. Some of the characters are a little underdeveloped, like compared to the past game. But, I think they did a good job of what they had. And, it's really hard to step into, and for some people it's iconic because Resident Evil 2 is some people's favorite games of all time. And so to step in those shoes and to try to, be your own character in regards to being that kind of Claire or that kind of Leon, but not doing the exact interpretation of the old one, I think they did a pretty good job of what they were trying to do. And there are some issues that I do have with the story. There are a couple issues. We'll go over a tiny inch of my slight issue overall, but more details, we'll talk about that in the spoiler talk. But I think overall the characters had great character moments, and I think they did a good job overall. So to escape, you have to escape in classic Resident Evil fashion. You're going through different puzzles. You're going to have to solve puzzles to get through different areas to get to the new area, different things like that. And in this remake, they really have evolved the puzzles, which I really liked a lot. They took certain puzzles, and just like rooms, like I was talking about earlier with different areas on the map, is puzzles in this one were inspirations, and they were not exact copycats, which I liked so much. They maybe grabbed one element of it and then they flipped it on its head a little bit, or they grabbed an element here and then flipped the rest of it a little bit. So it yet felt familiar, yet felt brand new, and overall they were just good puzzles. I think this is something that's been lacking in the series that people like a lot, and I am excited that they brought these puzzles, and it really was a well done thing. Now, I also think a puzzle in regards to playing Resident Evil is inventory space. And I know managing inventory is like kind of like a 50-50 cut. There are half of the people that love doing that. There's half of the people that hate doing that. Well, I'm here to tell you, at least in the standard mode, and I played hardcore as well, but in the standard mode, they do a great job in regards to managing your inventory. And there are opportunities throughout the game to increase that inventory. And they do a great job in regards to having the right moments where you are able to get more inventory, where you feel like you're not truly running out. If you manage it correctly, decently, you'll do a pretty good job with it. If you manage it really well, like if you play past Resident Evils and you're good at that item management type style, then you're going to do a really good job with it. But I think it does a great balance where it offers more inventory space as you go, and it really helps. It really, really does. And I think it really is part of the strategy in survival horror, because you can't carry everything, and to give you it really puts tension and understanding of what you need to do next, and looking ahead and understanding this puzzle needs this kind of item. I should probably bring some health with me to make sure that I'm good. I think I'm going to run into these kind of enemies. I'm going to need this kind of weapon with this kind of ammo. It's all about planning, and that's how you have to be when you're surviving in a space where you are in a survival horror space. You need to manage everything. Now, obviously, they have bins that kind of teleport between different bins throughout the entire game. There are things like that in this game that, for someone goes, that's not practical. And yes, it's not practical, but yet it works so well. And it just shows that inventory management is still a good element in survival horror if done right. And I think they did an excellent job with doing it in this game in regards to managing inventory. That, again, they kept bringing in more spots when they needed to. Now, the other part that really helps with this, with not only offering more spaces, but the way they utilize the map. And I think it's just a great way. I think it's something so simple, yet I think so many games are going to start copying after this, is when you go into a room and you run into, or you see an item that you can pick up, and say you don't have any spots for it at the moment. Example, like say I ran into a room and I saw an herb. An herb is for healing. So say I don't have any spots for it right at the moment. As soon as I see that item, if I pull up my map, in that room on the map, an herb icon will be right in the spot that I saw it. So it basically marks everything you've seen on a map and tells you what's there. So then when you are later in the game, you're like, okay, I'm going to go around this area. Let's see what I haven't picked up yet. You can look on the map and see, oh, I haven't picked up that herb. Okay, I'll go pick up that herb as I'm hooking around this corner while I'm going into this room and getting this item. So it does a really good job of, for people helping with that management of understanding of, oh, I can leave it and I can come back to it later because I know it's there now, and I don't have to try to remember where was that herb I forgot a while back that I couldn't pick up. It's just a great way of helping more casual players and people that struggle with item management and not as good with it come back and be able to do that. And it allows you not to forget anything. So if you've seen an item before and you're like, I've seen this item, but I just don't know where I've seen it. Pull up your map. You've seen the item before, it's on your map. You're like, oh, I need to go that room to go get it so I can unlock this door. things like that. I think that it's just so well done. And it just really lowers the stress for people in this area that really struggle in regards to this. Now, in this game, to survive, you need some weapons. And so you get a pistol, and depending on which character you play, you also get other weapons in the game. Each character has a different set of weapons that they get. Overall, you can get up to 4 to 5 weapons, and some are upgradable depending with different gear that you can get. You can upgrade the weapon in regards to like reloading capacity, strength. It can set a different what's the example I'm looking for? Like a pistol, you could change it to have a more of a powerful bullet style with a certain pistol bullet that can go into it. And each weapon is unique and the weapons can work on certain enemies better. So it's really great because you can use it as a strategy in regards to how to tackle certain opponents and understanding where you are and going, okay, I need to go to this area. I'm going to run into this enemy. I really should go with this type of ammo. And it really just depends on how you want to tackle it. And it's a great way to kind of experiment. Obviously you have limited ammo, so it's tricky. You can't experiment too much without running out of ammo, and you don't want to waste your ammo. But I think they do a really good job of saying, okay, this is how you can like stun an enemy. This is how you can burn a certain enemy. This is how you can shoot a certain enemy. There's a lot of different ways to tackle a lot of different things. Now, in addition to that, they have copied the remake of the first one and allowing secondary weapons, which they've evolved the secondary weapon a little bit, which overall I like it. The secondary weapon is used for, it has to be equipped. It has to be equipped and it has to be on you in your inventory space. But if an enemy grabs you from the front, only from the front will you be able to use it. Is that you can use it to hurt your enemy in front of you and avoid damage. So an example, there are 3 secondary weapons. There's flash grenades, regular grenades, and then a knife. And so depending on which one you use, it'll have a different effect. But you also can use it as a main weapon. So I could throw the grenade down a set of stairs to destroy 3 enemies at once if I wanted to. So I think they're really great uses and another layer to the combat that really helps. And it makes you, it helps you think and make great choices when you need to survive, when you're trying to escape. Now, to things people talk about all the time, Mr. X, the thing that gave me the most anxiety throughout my entire experience in this game. It gave me the most scares. It gave me the most anxiety. It was just crazy on how it was going. And so Mr. X, if people don't know what he is, it's a big person that chases you. And he follows you wherever you go. And I think they got him down almost perfectly. There's just a slight thing we'll talk about at the end in regards to him, but he will follow you anywhere and you have to go through so many ways to try to get him loose. So you can either harm him and be able to make him take a knee and then try to escape from him, or which will give you more time to run away, or you can just try to flat out run, which is possible. A trick to give to you right away so you're not like, what the heck, how do I get rid of this guy, is go down a lot of stairs, go through a lot of winding quick door paths so that it takes him more time to get through all those doors to get to you. And he's eventually going to find you, and you'll figure out kind of what works for him in regards to like what kind of, how he can hear you. Sound is such a big element in this game that they don't tell you, but once you figure it out, you go, oh, like me running matters, me walking matters. When I make a bullet shot, that matters in regards to not just Mr. X, but any enemy in this game. And that's just great design. That's great game design. It's great. I love it. And, there is nothing more than hearing his footsteps to create such anxiety. You can hear him when he's in the next room. It sounds like you hear the wood that he makes steps on as he's in the next room, or he's in the next hallway. And you can also hear the footsteps as he's chasing you. Now, when he sees you, there's this music that plays. And it is just creates so much anxiety. It's just like anxiety in a bottle that caught it. It's just so amazing to when you add the footsteps with the music with Mr. X. It just they've done that perfectly. That is some of the perfect elements. The only thing I have an issue with Mr. X, there's a part in the game where you have to accomplish a certain task while Mr. X is trying to find you, and it's really hard to do as Mr. X is chasing you to be able to do this task. Now, as I played it multiple times, and we'll talk about multiple playthroughs later, that as I was playing it multiple times, I was starting to figure out how Mr. X works in regards to how he finds you sooner or later. And I was able to kind of, after my second or third playthrough, was able to figure out everything and go, okay, this is what I need to do to help me complete this task before he finds me. So the only thing I want to say about the main boss, he's not even the main boss. So the other thing I want to say about the main boss is I think they're great in how they change up the gameplay. And I like how they become, in the past Resident Evil games, you're just unloading lead on them, as much bullets and damage you can until they fall or they die or anything like that. This one's a lot more strategic, and I like that a lot. It doesn't have to make you use your best weapons. You will be more successful if you use your better weapons, but you also have to be strategic in how you use them, and that is what I like so much. And I will say there is one boss battle, and if you played the game or are gonna play the game, when you get there, you'll know there's a boss battle that is a little tricky. Once you kind of figure it out, you figure it out, and it's a good flow. But if you can't figure it out right away, it can become daunting and frustrating. For me, I was able to figure it out. It was not until I got into the harder difficulty when I was having a little bit more difficulty with that boss battle and how that works. Because there's just so many moving pieces, figuratively and literally, moving pieces in that element. So it's just a little tricky to get down and get it right. But overall, I like the change of pace, and I like how they tackled the bosses in general. Now, my only big issue with the game is the second run. Now, the gameplay in the second run is great. I like it a lot. Now, if you don't know what second run is supposed to take place at the same time as the time you were playing with the first character. So, for example, if I was playing as Claire first, and I played through the entire game, I open a second run for Leon, where that playthrough with Leon is supposed to be happening exactly at the same time as when I was playing Claire the first time. And so they're supposed to kind of overlap. Now, obviously, I know in second runs, certain doors that you opened as Claire are going to be locked. And it's fine. This is the part of the gameplay that I can look past. It. I mean, it's a little more, you'd have to make the map twice as big to be able to do it. Now, there are certain doors that both one character can go in, but the other can't, and that I appreciate. But obviously, like if they wanted to say open up you can only open up a certain amount of doors and that they can't open, then you'd have to make the map so much bigger. And I don't think that's doable in what they were trying to do. So I can look past that. The thing that really bugs me is, one other thing I do want to say about the gameplay. I like that they changed the puzzles up. They're not the exact same puzzles. The solutions are not the exact same. How you tackle them are not the exact same. Approaching the map from a different angle or a different entry point is always interesting because it changes your strategy in regards to exploring. You have a better idea what the enemies are like, so that it is a little bit faster, but it is still fresh and different, which is still good. I like that a lot. The issue I have is the story. Now, there are certain moments that happen in the story in the first playthrough that are almost carbon copies that happen in the second. Now, I can't fully explain everything at the moment because I'm going into spoilers, and we'll talk about it much more deep dive in the spoiler talk. But these things could have been fixed with really minor changes. I think, it just is a little just a little sad to see of how the second run is supposed to be happening at the same time, yet some moments are happening the same for both characters. Almost. There's slight differences, but it doesn't make sense. And so that's where it gets a little confusing and a little, not frustrating, but just a little confusing and a little disheartening because, again, when looking at it, you can make a minor change in both areas and you could have fixed this problem. So that's my only big knock to this game. It's still, the gameplay is still fun, and it is still arguably it's still arguably the best. This is the thing that helped it from being arguably the best remake of all time. It's not, unfortunately, but with this, the gameplay is still fun, so it makes up for that shortfall because the story is not a huge element to this game. It's all about the gameplay, the puzzle solving, and surviving the horror that's before you, learning new enemies. Oh no, how do I conquer it and get past it? So it's a shortfall, but the gameplay makes up for it. Now, like in past games, this game is made to be replayed. It is made to play with speed runs and get it done as fast as possible. And when you do that, you get rewards, including unlimited ammo for very powerful weapons. And then when you play the game with those weapons, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's really easy, but it's still a lot of fun. And, it was fun learning how to get really good at the game. And for the past Resident Evil games, this is also an option. If you get done with it in a certain amount of time, you can unlock unlimited weapons of certain kinds. But when in the past, I never had interest in doing speed runs in those games, but somehow this one, because the gameplay is just so good, I was trying to do speed runs. Well, I wasn't doing world record ones. Some of them are crazy. I can never do it in that much time, but I wanted to get the unlimited ammo and stuff. And so it was fun that how I had fun with it now compared to I didn't have any interest in the past game. So I like how they brought that out of me a little bit. Also, there are offered some survival modes to play where you try to get through a certain mission and run through as fast as possible with certain weaponry and things like that. And it's just a new experience to offer to keep playing this game. And they offered even DLC that offers more survival stuff. So overall, they offer things that keep you coming back to the game. Now, this remake really brought back the feel of an old school Resident Evil game with updating its mechanics and bringing back true survival horror. I think is true survival horror. I personally think that they should use this formula for the next game, and I would not be surprised, or honestly, I kind of expect that they should be remaking Resident Evil 3, because that's basically the next step up to do. And this is probably one of the best survival horror games I've played in quite a while, and I'm really excited and can't wait to see what's in store next for Resident Evil. So that is my review of Resident Evil. What did you think of the game? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this, check out the rest of the content I have on Freeze Frame Rate. Go ahead and give it a like, share it with your friends. And if you want to keep up with the content I release each and every week here on the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Look forward to the spoiler talk for Resident Evil 2 coming out very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mitch. I'm signing off saying, see you soon.